Hello, well today we're going to look at a depiction of St. George and the Dragon. What's particularly cool about it, I think, is that it is on a 15th century shield. It's made of wood and leather, so the age definitely shows, but I think that just adds to the effect. This time it isn't just weapons in art, it's weapons in art in weapons, really. Now let's cover the story itself. St. George was born in the 3rd century in Asia Minor. He went on to become a Roman soldier and then a Christian martyr during the reign of Diocletian. As you can see here, he's depicted as more of a Middle Ages knight, and that's very common. He becomes a chivalric Christian figure, so he's part chivalric, Arthurian knight, and part saint in the telling of the story. And that story is that there was a village in Libya that was being plagued by a dragon, and it was poisoning the land. Well, the people from the village, town, city, whatever you want to call it, started giving it 2 sheep a day in order to try to keep it at bay and keep it from getting any closer. Well, eventually they ran out of livestock and had to move on to human offerings, and we are told that those eventually became children via a lottery system. Not fun, and eventually the king's daughter came up. Now let's take a pause in the story to look at this exquisite detail. This defect is just one of many you'll notice throughout the video, so it seems like this thing got used. You'll see holes with, fracture lines radiating out, things like that. It doesn't seem like an item that was meant to just hang on a wall. It's wood and leather, not metal and, dripping in gold. And I readily admit I'm not an expert on European medieval arms and armor. We're just going through this together. So, back to the story, though. Got a problem, right? Dragons eating children from the village. And eventually the king's daughter gets picked, like I said, and now it's a real problem because, royalty's involved. It's okay when it was the peasants' kids. So the king offers a lot of riches if they'll just let his daughter skip her turn. That doesn't happen. The people put their foot down, good for them, and the king dresses his daughter up in a bridal outfit and sends her out. One thing I haven't mentioned about the dragon is that it lives in a lake and or pond, which is an interesting touch. You don't think of a dragon as being water-dwelling, but this one is. He sends his daughter out there. She's in bridal garb because he's sad that she never got married. And the prince is just left waiting for her demise, right? Waiting for a monster to appear and devour her, a monster she's being offered up to. And how much of a constant in human storytelling is that? It's pretty amazing, right? From ancient Greek mythology to King Kong. Lucky for her and the town, St. George shows up because he is traveling far and wide. This takes place in Libya. And he inquires what's going on and decides to stay, of course. He charges on his steed. He's using his lance, of course, and sword. Wounds the creature, actually doesn't kill it, doesn't slay the dragon in battle. Instead, he tells the princess to take her girdle and wrap it around the creature's neck. And once she does, it's completely subdued and obedient. Interesting twist there. The damsel in distress takes an active part in subduing the monster, and the girdle certainly represents some kind of female energy being what it takes to do that. St. George later executes the creature back in town after showing it to everyone and getting them to convert to Christianity. This story first surfaces around the 11th century in Georgia and spreads from there. And, as it goes geographically, it changes a bit, of course, right? So there's a Greek version, kind of the original Eastern European version, then the Western, knightly, medieval version that we're looking at here. And it has definitely had an enduring appeal, right? This has been depicted in European art absolutely countless times. It's always along these lines, at least roughly. He's usually standing on top of it or on his horse above it, striking down. And this one looks less dragon-like than they usually do. He looks more just generic, medieval, bestiary, creature-like. It's odd that he's never that big. He's always kind of small like he is here because the story specifically says it took 4 ox carts to haul off the body. So this is a little bit more art on weapons or in weapons than weapons in art, like I mentioned. Because of the materials it was made out of, we're very lucky to have it. Leather degrades over time. Just take a look at this. And so does wood, right? It just kind of rots away. And that's why the arms and armor sections of museums tend to be so full of metal. Not because that's the only thing people fought with, but because it lasts longer. There it is, St. George and the Dragon from a German shield circa 1475. Bye.